Across Canada's cities, something is changing. From Bay Street boardrooms to Brampton's tech corridors, the country's workforce looks more global than ever. Indians dominate the tech engineering pipelines. Chinese graduates flood innovation labs and universities. And Canadians? They're asking who's really shaping the nation's future. This isn't a story about borders. It's about balance, economics, and opportunity. Behind the headlines, a quiet power shift is underway, one driven not by politics, but by education, immigration, and the relentless forces of globalization. Today on True North Canada. First, we pull back the curtain on Canada's job market transformation, the numbers, the people, and the decisions that could redefine what it means to be Canadian in the 21st century. Chapter 1. The Economic Crossroads of Canada. Canada stands at a turning point. For the first time in its modern history, more than 1 in 4 workers was born abroad. The nation's economic strength depends on immigration to fill labor gaps, maintain growth, and sustain its aging population. In 2025, the federal government targeted nearly 485,000 new permanent residents, a record figure that reflects not only compassion but necessity. Economists project that by 2030, almost 100% of Canada's labour force growth will come from immigrants. Without them, GDP expansion would stall within a decade. But the sources of that talent are shifting. India and China consistently make up over 40% of Canada's new arrivals, particularly in technology, engineering, and higher education. This influx feeds innovation and entrepreneurship, but it also triggers questions about wage compression and local opportunity. At the same time, Canadian-born workers face rising costs, housing, education, childcare that outpace wage growth. Many younger Canadians feel they're competing in a job market designed for global mobility rather than national stability. Policymakers call it a skills pipeline. Critics call it a quiet labour reset. Either way, Canada's prosperity now depends on how well it manages this complex intersection of immigration, economics, and identity. International recruitment has become big business. Agencies link Canadian employers to Indian engineers, Chinese programmers, and Filipino healthcare staff. These networks move faster than government oversight, reshaping entire industries before most voters even notice. The result? A workforce that is more diverse, more competitive, and more uncertain than ever. When every job posting can reach Delhi or Shanghai in seconds, geography stops being protection. It becomes competition. And so the question arises, in this global race for talent, can Canada protect its middle class while staying open to the world? The next chapter digs into the data and the people behind this economic evolution. Chapter 2. The New Talent Pipeline. How India and China drive Canada's growth. Every few minutes, a flight lands from Delhi, Mumbai, or Shanghai, filled with students, engineers, and entrepreneurs arriving with dreams of a new life. Canada's economy depends on these newcomers more than ever. They are not just filling jobs, they are reshaping industries. India has become Canada's single largest source of skilled immigrants. As of 2025, 1 in 5 international students in Canada was Indian. They populate tech corridors from Brampton to Surrey, fueling small businesses and startup ecosystems. Their English proficiency and digital skills make them fast hires in high-demand sectors such as software, healthcare technology, and finance. Chinese immigrants have built a different but equally strong presence, concentrated in education, research, and real estate investment. Over 100,000 Chinese students are enrolled in Canadian universities, contributing billions to the education economy and helping keep smaller campuses alive. The ripple effect spreads to local housing, retail, and tourism. Canada's immigration system actively courts this talent. The Express Entry and Global Talent Stream programs are tailored to recruit engineers, IT experts, and scientists, categories dominated by applicants from India and China. Employers get faster processing, and Canada gets younger, highly educated professionals who immediately pay taxes and fill labor shortages. Economically, it's a win. But beneath the statistics lies a growing debate. Many Canadians question whether the system still prioritizes local graduates and workers. Small-town employers struggle to compete with global recruiting firms that import talent at scale. Some unions claim wage standards are eroding. At the same time, businesses argue that without these newcomers, projects would stall and hospitals would lack staff. In 2024, tech sector vacancies alone topped 200,000 unfilled positions. Immigration wasn't a choice, it was survival. The government, balancing demographics and politics, continues to raise annual targets. Canada's population passed 41 million faster than projected, driven almost entirely by immigration. Growth fuels GDP, but also strains housing and transit infrastructure. The reality is clear. India and China aren't just contributing workers, they are co-authoring Canada's economic story. The next chapter explores how the education system became the quiet engine of this transformation. Chapter 3. Classrooms, Campuses, and Cash. The Education Economy. Behind every success story in the labor market lies a different kind of economy. The education economy. International students now inject more than $22 billion annually into Canada's GDP, surpassing even auto exports in value. India and China dominate these numbers. Their students pay up to 5 times more in tuition than domestic ones, sustaining university budgets and local economies. In cities like Waterloo, Ottawa, and Vancouver, entire apartment blocks exist primarily for them. For many, a student visa is the golden gateway, the first step toward permanent residency. Schools advertise programs not just for learning, but for migration pathways. This synergy between education and immigration has turned classrooms into launch pads for permanent settlement. But it's also reshaping priorities. Smaller towns now rely on foreign enrollments to keep institutions open. Some colleges have more international students than local ones. Critics warn this model is unsustainable. It commercializes education and leaves schools vulnerable to policy swings abroad. Yet for Canada, the short-term economic gains are undeniable. Student spending supports over 170,000 jobs in retail, housing, and hospitality. Indian restaurants flourish near campuses. Chinese grocery chains expand into suburbs once dominated by Canadian staples. The government faces a balancing act, maintaining quality education while keeping pathways open. New regulations require proof of funding and cap the number of low-value programs. But enforcement remains patchy, and schools dependent on foreign tuition resist change. For Indian and Chinese families, Canada's degree remains a brand, a global investment. Parents view it as both an education and a ticket to stability. The demand shows no sign of slowing, even as tuition rises. The consequence is a generation of globally trained graduates who stay, permanently altering the demographics of Canada's workforce. The classrooms that once welcomed visitors are now incubators of a new Canadian middle class. Chapter 4. The Corporate Equation. Business needs versus public perception. At the top of the economy sits another force: corporate demand. For big business, immigration is less ideology and more logistics. Every open job is a lost profit. Every unfilled engineering post slows production. The global talent stream, launched in 2017 and expanded in 2023, allows firms to hire foreign experts within 2 weeks. Tech companies in particular rely on Indian programmers and Chinese data scientists to stay competitive in global markets. For them, the equation is simple. Without global talent, there is no innovation. The result: a quiet dependency. The Canadian job market is no longer domestic, it's transnational. Companies advertise roles simultaneously in Toronto, Bangalore and Shenzhen. Interviews happen over Zoom. Relocations are optional. Many remote roles are filled by people who may never set foot in Canada. Meanwhile, local workers face mounting frustration. Average Canadian wages have stagnated relative to housing prices, which have risen over 40% since 2020 in major metros. To many, immigration feels like competition, even though economists stress it's usually complementarity. Newcomers take different roles, not the same ones. But perception drives politics. When Canadians see headlines about massive job intakes from India and China, it shapes opinion polls, even if the data shows domestic employment remains stable. The tension is psychological. Opportunity feels scarce even when the economy grows. Businesses, for their part, argue they are solving government-made problems. Canada's population is aging fast. 1 in 5 workers is over 55. Without immigration, retirements would trigger a national labour crisis. In short, companies say they're filling a gap the system created. Still, corporate recruitment practices raise fairness issues. Some firms use international hires to lower salary averages or avoid unionization pressures. These tactics erode trust, especially among middle-income Canadians who already feel squeezed. And that's where the real debate begins. Can Canada sustain an economy dependent on global workers without fracturing its social contract? The next chapter examines how government policy shapes this balance and whether politics can keep up with economics. Chapter 5. Policy and Power. How Ottawa shapes the workforce. Every major workforce trend in Canada begins with policy. Ottawa holds the pen that writes the population story, and lately, that pen has been racing. Immigration targets, labour market agreements, student visa programs, they all align to one principle: growth through people. Canada needs skilled labour to maintain its pension base, to pay taxes, to build homes. Yet each new policy ripples differently. Raising intake quotas helps businesses but strains cities. A cap on international students stabilizes rents but squeezes universities. The balance is mathematical and moral. Political parties rarely disagree on the need for newcomers, they disagree on the pace. Conservatives stress capacity. How many can we house? Liberals stress inclusion. How many can we welcome? The debate becomes not if, but how fast. Meanwhile, the bureaucracy powering these programs is overwhelmed. Processing times stretch months. Employers wait. Applicants grow anxious. Every delay is a missed paycheck somewhere. In 2025, Ottawa pledged to digitize immigration systems, linking visas to labour market data in real time. The idea: match skills to shortages automatically. The challenge: Canada's economy moves faster than its software. Provinces add another layer. British Columbia, Ontario and Alberta now run independent nominee streams targeting IT, health and construction. India and China remain dominant sources. Local governments quietly build their own pipelines. Policy has become Canada's new industrial engine. Every clause in a federal report translates to lives, families, and fortunes. And at the center of it all stands a question no algorithm can answer. How much growth can a nation absorb before identity becomes economics? Chapter 6. Cities under pressure. Canada's urban core is booming and bursting. For every skilled arrival, there must be housing, transit, and schools. None are keeping pace. In Toronto alone, the population grew by nearly 500,000 people in 5 years, much of it through migration. Rents soared above $2,700 per month, testing even six-figure salaries. Vancouver's skyline tells the same story: breathtaking glass, impossible prices. Chinese investment capital helped build those towers. Indian tech workers filled them. Local families look up at the skyline and wonder who it was built for. Governments promise supply fixes, faster permits, modular homes, tax breaks. But every economist admits immigration adds demand faster than cranes add roofs. Yet cities thrive on diversity. Brampton's street festivals, Richmond's night markets, Surrey's business parks, they generate billions and redefine what it means to be Canadian. The challenge is not multiculturalism, it's infrastructure. Transit lines lag, schools overflow, healthcare queues lengthen. The economic engine roars, but the chassis creaks. A balanced system would expand services in step with population. Canada's current rhythm is offbeat. Mayors plead for funding. Developers push for zoning reform. Citizens demand breathing room. Each group blames another. All depend on the same workforce they debate. Canada's cities are microcosms of globalization, vibrant, overworked, astonishing. The next chapter explores the cultural blend that results when economics meets identity. Chapter 7. Identity, Culture, and the Canadian Dream. What began as Labour policy has become cultural transformation. Canada's story has always been one of arrivals. Now it's accelerating. The Indian and Chinese diasporas have become cornerstones of modern Canada. Entrepreneurs, scientists, teachers, neighbours. Together they make up more than 15% of the national population. In malls and markets, languages overlap. Temples rise beside churches, dumpling shops beside Tim Hortons. It's not a clash, it's a collage. Yet cultural speed creates friction. Rapid demographic shifts challenge older notions of identity. Some Canadians worry about losing cohesion, others see a renaissance of diversity. Both are true. Economically, multiculturalism is measurable. Diverse teams outperform homogeneous ones in innovation metrics. Immigrant-owned businesses employ hundreds of thousands. Socially, the challenge is belonging. When newcomers succeed too visibly, envy follows. When they struggle, empathy fades. Canada's maturity lies in balancing both stories, celebrating success while addressing strain. Cultural literacy becomes an economic skill. Companies seek bilingual managers. Schools teach cross-cultural communication. The very differences that once divided now drive competitiveness. As the mosaic expands, so does Canada's definition of itself, not melting, but merging. The next and final chapter asks, what happens next? Can Canada turn diversity into destiny? Chapter 8. The Road Ahead. A nation built by many. The future of Canada will be decided not by one group, but by how all groups work together. The demographic train cannot be reversed, only guided. Economists forecast that by 2040, immigrants and their children will make up nearly half of the workforce. Productivity, innovation and culture will all depend on integration and upskilling. Canada's challenge is structural: match education with demand, link credentials globally, and build housing at unprecedented speed. Policy must evolve from reaction to design. Rather than asking who's running Canada, the smarter question is, how do we make everyone part of the run? Collaboration between federal and provincial governments, universities and businesses can convert immigration from necessity into strategy, a true global talent partnership. For Canadians born here, opportunity lies in adaptation, lifelong learning, digital literacy, entrepreneurship. Competing globally means thinking globally. For newcomers, integration is more than paperwork. It's participation in communities, voting booths, and innovation labs. Canada's strength is shared ownership of its story. Closing visuals of the Northern Lights fading into the maple leaf. If the nation succeeds, it won't be because of Indians or Chinese or Canadians alone, but because all three became part of one economy, one workforce, one future. If this documentary opened your eyes to how Canada's economy is really built by hands from every corner of the world, then hit like, share this video, and join our journey. Your voice matters in shaping the next chapter of Canada's story. Help us reach 4,000 subscribers here on True North Canada. First, so we can keep bringing you truth-based storytelling about the nation we all call home.